Video posted on Facebook shows a mother, 23-year-old Jasmine Headley, holding tightly onto her baby son as 3 NYPD officers try to yank the 1-year-old child away. Police say they were called after the woman refused to leave a Center for Government Assistance in Borum Hill.
I was just so disgusted, and like I couldn't believe they was doing that to that child. Like, I just couldn't believe it. It was crazy.
Naisha Ferguson took this cell phone video inside the SNAP Center on Bergen Street on Friday afternoon. Ferguson says she had been waiting in line for nearly 2 hours for food and daycare services. She says the incident started because there were no chairs left, and the mother sat on the ground with her child.
The security guard, I guess she came over and told her that she couldn't sit there, but she's like, so where am I gonna sit? She was like, I guess you're just gonna have to stand. And she was like, I'm not gonna stand with my son. And she was telling them, like, I don't know why you're here. Like, I didn't do anything. I'm just sitting on the floor. Like, what is the crime? What did I do wrong? And things just escalated.
Authorities say staff and human resources peace officers at the facility told the woman to leave several times because of what they called disorderly conduct towards other people. But she refused. When officers arrived, they also asked Headley to leave. When she didn't, they attempted to arrest her. They claim she resisted. Police say Headley refused medical treatment for both herself and her child, who is now in the care of a family member. The Administration for Children's Services has also been notified. Now, police and city officials are calling for a thorough investigation, including Council Speaker Corey Johnson, who tweeted, "This is unacceptable, appalling, and heartbreaking. I'd like to understand what transpired and how these officers or the NYPD justifies this. It's hard to watch this video."
If they would have just like talked to her as a woman and like gave her time to calm herself down or whatever the case was, then I think it would have went way different. She wouldn't be in jail.
Headley faces several charges, including acting in a manner injurious to a child and resisting arrest. She remains in police custody. In Borum Hill, Brooklyn, Natalie Dudridge, CBS 2 News.
Barakatha Yahawah, YAHAWASHI. Barakatha Yahawah, YAHAWASHI. Barakatha Yahawah, YAHAWASHI. Barakatha Yahawah, YAHAWASHI. Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, Wa Barak, Wa Rapah, Wa Kazak, the apostles, elders, and the brethren throughout the four corners. I say Shalom. And it's a lot that's been going on in the news, mainly with the government shutdown, which this is a big thing, because all things that can go wrong and will go wrong in this country will be because of the government shutdown. But now I want to go back, because today is January 11, 2019. I want to go back to December 7th, 2018. December 7th, 2018, there was something that happened in New York, in Brooklyn, at a welfare office. I think it's called the Borum Welfare Office, Borum Hill Welfare Office in Brooklyn, New York. There was a woman there named Jasmine Headley, who was 23 years old, black woman. She went there to the Borum Welfare Office in Brooklyn, and basically she got mopped up by the police. As a matter of fact, the video that you've seen at the very beginning of this video is a video that's maybe 2.5 to maybe a little over maybe 3 minutes long, 2.5 to maybe 3.5 minutes long, of her being in the Borum Hill Welfare Office in Brooklyn. And this happened on December 7, 2018. Basically, this woman, Jasmine Headley, black woman, 23 years old, she was receiving welfare. She was getting $280 a month in SNAP benefits, EBT rather, and she was getting $140 in cash EBT. Okay, because SNAP is the food, but EBT is the money, but it's on the same card. One is SNAP and one is the EBT. So she was getting $280 a month from New York, from Brooklyn, in SNAP, and $140 cash EBT. And also, they were paying $1,200 a month for her baby's daycare because she had a child. So basically, she was on welfare. In September, she got a job a part-time job, a part-time cleaning job, paying her basically like $13 an hour. So basically, she went to work. So what happened is, her SNAP money was cut. Then shortly after that, the EBT cash was cut. But they were still paying the $1,200 monthly for her to have daycare so she could go to work. Mind you, she was working part-time, which is probably 20 hours a week, cleaning office buildings or whatever, what have you. So then the state finally cut the $1,200 monthly daycare payment. So she goes down there to the office in Boerum Hill, Brooklyn, to see, what's going on, to try to get them to restore the daycare money, which shows you, look, hey, they taking care of these women. All right. Let me tell you something. $1,200 a month for daycare that the state was paying, in New York was paying through Brooklyn, paying $1,200 a month daycare. That's a lot of goddamn money right there. $1,200 a month daycare they were paying. But she went down there to see why the benefits were cut off, because basically with this welfare thing, or even if you're getting Social Security from the government, they allow you to work 20 hours a week as long as you don't make over, I think it's like $800 a month. I know it's like that with Social Security, and I believe it's like that with the state welfare. If you don't make over $800 a month, you can work 20 hours a week. As long as you don't make over $800 a month, you keep your full benefits. So she went down there to see why they cut the daycare money off, and there was nowhere to sit. So she was sitting on the floor holding her baby, and then one of the security guards came over and asked her to move, and she's like, where am I going to sit? I'm not doing anything. I'm not causing any trouble. I'm just sitting here. She was there for about 4 or 5 hours already waiting, so she sat down on the floor. They said, look, you got to move from here. She wouldn't move. Then they called the police, and the police came up in there like gangbusters and roughed her ass up, pulled her baby. She said, you're hurting my baby. They pulled her baby from her arms. I mean, they damn near beat the shit out of her. But you know what that is? That right there is what the scriptures say in the book of Isaiah, the 32nd chapter, Isaiah 32:9 in the Bible. That a lot of you people, you don't believe in the Bible, but it says this in Isaiah 32:9, because basically the jig is up. All right. See, this government shutdown means that for you welfare queens, the free ride is over. The free ride is over. And you're not the only ones that's going to be affected by it, because the majority of people on welfare in the United States are white people. Over 60-something% of people that receive welfare in the United States are white people. All right? Make no mistake about that, okay? And there's a percentage that's Negro and Latino, and then you got other. But make no mistake, over 60% of people who receive welfare benefits in this country are white. But I'm talking to my own people, the women of our people, Negro, West Indian, Puerto Rican, Haitian, Dominican, Cuban, so on and so forth. You're the ones that I'm speaking to. Because the scriptures, Isaiah 32:9, what happened there on December 7th, 2018, was about 15 days before the actual government shutdown started, which started on December 22nd, 2018, 3 days before so-called Christmas. The government shutdown started. And now we're 3 weeks into the government shutdown. But I want to go a month back to the time of what happened to her 15 days before the shutdown actually happened. That's a microcosm of what's getting ready to come. This is going to be happening all over the country, everywhere you go. All right? Women are going to be getting cut off all over the country. I'm talking about the women of the tribes. And you're going to be going ballistic. And they're going to whoop your ass up in them welfare offices too. You're going to whoop ass in there, and you're going to get your ass whooped while you up in them welfare offices, fighting over benefits. Isaiah 32:9. It says, rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Because here in America, you women, especially the women of the tribes, you motherfuckers are careless as hell, and you're at ease. You act like you don't have a care in the world, and you believe just because your rent is being paid, because your ass is on Section 8. Oh yes, Section 8 is affected because the government pays Section 8. Okay, so you got that Section 8, and your rent is paid every month. So you like made in the shade. Really, it made your ass fucking lazy as hell. Because if you're able to get Section 8 and get food stamps and all of that, they also have programs out there that you can go into where you can get a career, right? You can go out there and get you a job to sustain you where you don't need the welfare. If you were smart, you would use the welfare services for a time to get yourself on your feet and then be clear of it. But you don't. You stay on it because it's a generational thing. Your Big Mama was on it. When Big Mama died, the house went to your mother or one of your aunties who stayed there with Big Mama until she died, and then the lease just turned over to her, and then you're in the same predicament as Big Mama and your mama and now you and then your daughter. The cycle just keeps continuing. They got all kinds of goods and services set up to help you women in this country, so there's no fucking reason why any of you women out there should be destitute or living fucked up, because they got the game set up for you to succeed. The game is set up for the black man not to succeed. The game is set up to hinder and keep the black man in check. And you are a part of that, hindering the black man and keeping him in check under the so-called white man, because they give you the ability to use 911. But now, in the video, you see 911 was being used against the black woman. The same way that you use it against the black man. Guess what? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. The tables are turning. The tables are turning, baby. The tables are turning. And the so-called white man, he don't give a fuck about your ass. And he never did. Using you was just a game to get to us, to fuck with us, to frustrate us. But you know what? The jig is up now, because the so-called white man is reneging. He's reneging and he's pulling back every goddamn thing that he gave you bitches. And that's your stupidity, because again, like I said, you could go down to, in Connecticut here, they got something called Public Works. You could go down there and you can get training to work in a doctor's office, to be a dental hygienist. You can go to school to be a dentist. You can go to do anything. If you're a man, you can go out there and get a license, a CDL, Class B, to drive box trucks, or you can even get an A and they'll pay for it. You're unemployed and you're on your ass, they'll pay for you so you can go out there and get employment, so you don't need to use the welfare anymore. So the ones that are smart, they utilize that time, use the money to help them while they're in that bad predicament, and they get on their feet and then they out and they're good and now they're independent. But you're totally dependent on the system, so the system is coming down, is crashing, and this is all by design anyway, and it's gonna crash right on your ass. I'm gonna read a couple scriptures about it. Isaiah 32:9. Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women. For the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Tremble, ye women that are at ease. It says, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. For that woman that you seen in the video, what happened? The vintage failed, meaning the SNAP money, the EBT money, and then the babysitter money, what? It failed. The gathering shall not come. And then what happened? She went down there to inquire about it, and then she got manhandled. It was men and women there basically whooping her ass and ripping her child from her arms, and then they charged her with committing injury to a minor when the police were the ones that were doing it, and they threw her ass in jail. And then come to find out, she had a warrant on her because she was wanted for some credit card fraud or scam in New Jersey. So when she got arrested, they kept her ass at Rikers Island because she had an outstanding warrant on some credit fraud shit that she did out in New Jersey. Okay, so this black woman, Jasmine Headley, man, she's just a mirror image of the rest of you ghetto bitches out there. Bottom line. And you know what? Like I said, the party is over. Okay, the free ride is over. And the Lord is the one putting the spirit on Donald Trump to do the things that he's doing. Yeah, the white man is a devil. But you got to understand, the devil, he takes orders from who? The Most High. When you really, really look at it, the Most High controls the right and controls the left. But now getting back to this. It says, many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women. And that's getting ready to start popping off, because within another week and a half, it's going to be February. I'll say from now, today's the 11th, so it's going to be at least another 2 weeks and a couple of days before we get into February. But come February and the government shutdown is not resolved, that SNAP money is not going to be there. There's not going to be no EBT money. What's going to start happening is all the government programs are going to start being affected. Already, you got government workers that are lining up in droves everywhere protesting because they're not being paid. It's been about 3 weeks since the shutdown, and government workers haven't gotten their checks for 3 weeks, which means their mortgages are late, their light bill, gas bill, all of that. The bottom is falling out. And you had certain airports, like I think in Miami, I think the airport had to close because they didn't have enough TSA agents, which I think TSA is threat security assessment, and they're the ones that pat you down. You go through the metal detectors, they check your bags and all that, in case they check everything that you have looking for a bomb. They're looking for bombs, they're looking for explosive devices, and they look up your ass with a fine-tooth comb. They are paid by the government, and since they're not being paid, a lot of them are not reporting to work. Government workers everywhere are not reporting to work because they're not getting a check. Now, Congress so-called passed some bill to make sure that they get back pay, but whatever the case, in any case, the bottom line is, come February, they don't resolve this thing, what's going to happen is all of you people that are receiving any type of welfare or government assistance, you're not going to get shit for the month of February. Bottom line. So that means no EBT money, no SNAP benefits, which is the digital food stamp. If they're paying for your babysitting or your daycare, you ain't getting none of that either. All right. If you're getting Social Security, you're getting disability. A lot of old people are going to be affected too. It ain't just going to be these welfare queens. A lot of old and elderly people, they get Social Security checks and they live on a budget and they use that to pay their rent, their light bill, gas, and they barely have enough money to buy food. A lot of these elder seniors are still working 20 hours a week or less, so they can have extra money so they can just buy food, keep food in the house, and maybe pay their car insurance or their cell phone or something like that. There's going to be riots and uproars everywhere, but I'm focusing on you welfare queens. It says, many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Tremble, ye women that are at ease, be troubled, ye careless ones, strip you and make you bare. Now the Lord is going to strip you and make you bare. You about to be stripped of every goddamn thing. All right, strip you and make you bare. And gird sackcloth upon your loins, meaning you're gonna be wearing. You ain't gonna be looking all pretty. You ain't gonna have no money to get your hair did, to get your nails did. You ain't gonna have. You ain't gonna be able to go to the $10 limit store no more, and get you some bullshit outfit to make yourself look good. Going up in the club, you in the club all week with no job, like the song says. You in the club all week with no job. Smile, bitch. Smile, bitch. Eating good off your food stamp card. All that shit is gonna be over. All that shit is about to be over with right there. Okay? Eating good on your food stamp card ain't gonna be happening no more because ain't gonna be no money on the food stamp card. So you ain't gonna be living your best life no more, like the song says. Alright? And then it says, they shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine. You're gonna lament, you're gonna cry for it. For the teats. The teats means the nipple. When a mother has a baby and the baby is crying for hunger, she puts the nipple in the baby's mouth. The nipple, the baby gets the nourishment from sucking the breast milk through the nipple. The nipple is known as the teats. All right, and it says, upon the land of my people shall come up thorns and briars, yea, upon all the houses of joy in the joyous city. Ain't gonna be no more joy in the city. You ain't gonna be out at the club no more. Free for 11. Every woman that comes to the club, they get in free. You ain't have no money. You going to the club with no money. You get in free and bumming drinks off of niggas all night. You got a bunch of thirsty, simp ass motherfucking niggas sitting in there buying you drinks and you up in there, and you got a man at home at the same time. So, hey, the Lord is bringing judgment down on you fucking hoes, and it's about damn time. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna read another scripture dealing with that. Revelations the 12th chapter. Revelations the 12th chapter. Let me get that. Let me pull that up. Revelations the 12th chapter. I wasn't gonna make this too long, but I just wanted to cover some main points and what's happening right now, because this shutdown, that's what it's gonna lead to. Basically, it's gonna lead to eventually utter chaos here in America. All right, the people are not able to get food. People are gonna be rioting. People are gonna be bugging the fuck out. People are gonna be going crazy. All right, a lot of people are gonna be getting laid off at these local supermarkets, because guess what? These supermarkets make their longest green between the first 3 or 4 days in a month, because the 1st to the 3rd is when people are getting their checks. On the 3rd, people get their Social Security disability checks. On the 1st, between the 1st and the 3rd, people getting their SNAP and their welfare money. So a lot of these stores run their sales where Stop and Shop will have buy 10 ketchups for $10, but you gotta buy 10. Buy 10 cans of Dole pineapples for $10, but you gotta buy 10 cans of pineapple. Buy 10 boxes of Duncan Hines for $10, but you gotta buy 10 boxes. That's when they run all those specials at the beginning of the month, and that's when their shelves get cleared. But what's gonna happen is there's not gonna be no patrons in there spending that SNAP money. So a lot of these stores are gonna start downsizing the people that they have working there in the store, because they're not gonna have that overload of people in the stores all at one time shopping and picking up all the products. So they're gonna lay off the stock boys. They're gonna lay off the people at the registers. They already got the self-checkout registers, which that cut jobs out right there. So then on top of that, again, dealing with the government shutdown, you also got something called, before I go to read Revelations 12, I'm gonna just make this point. You got something called Title 19, which is Title 19 was enacted in 1965. Title 19 of the Social Security Act established regulations for the Medicaid program, which provides funding for Medicaid and health-related services for persons with limited income. Right, that means seniors and people who are retired, they have that Title 19, so they get their medications through Title 19. If they're going to doctor visits, if they have to go do some type of therapy, if they get a hip replacement, through Title 19. If they're in a convalescent home, that's another thing. A lot of you queens, you work at these convalescent homes, and you do private duty and all that. Guess what? Title 19 pays for all of those services. So if there's no Title 19 to pay for the people in the convalescent home, you're not going to get a check. If you're working at the convalescent home as a nurse's assistant, you're not going to get a check. The convalescent home's not going to get paid, and then you're not going to get paid. The agency that sends you to people's houses for private duty, they don't receive their payments from Title 19. You're not going to receive a check. So it's not just going to be the women on welfare that's going to be affected. A lot of you out there that's out there going to people's houses and assisted living and all of that's going to be affected. All of that's going to be affected. Another thing I have to say, you fucking drug dealer niggas out there, you motherfuckers are going to be affected. Because for years, why you think Bone Thugs and Harmony had that popular song in the 90s? It's the first of the month, get up, cash your checks and come on, wake up, it's the first of the month. What was that talking about? Because the first of the month, in the ghetto, people get their checks, and you got a lot of people who are drug addicts that get checks at the first of the month. So the drug dealers, they getting paid on the first of the month. And they only Stop and Shop and all these places that's making money on the first of the month. The drug dealers, they make money on the first of the month. That's their busiest time of the month. Before, it used to be the 1st and the 16th, because, well, here in Connecticut, they would get 2 checks. And I think all around the country it was like that. On the 1st, they got a check, a big check. And on the 16th, they got a check that was half the size of the big check they got on the first. So let's say on the 1st, you got a check for $1,000. On the 16th, you would get a check for like $500 or $400. And then when the first came around again, you got that big check, you know, welfare check, right? And with that, you paid your rent, and you were able to buy your kids clothes and stuff like that. And they gave you WIC and gave you food stamps on top of that. It used to be food stamps before it was EBT. So you would get WIC vouchers, and you would get food stamps, and they used to give out government cheese, butter, and that nasty ass can of pork shit. That's how it used to be, you know. And then mid-90s, all of that changed. But again, they had that song, the first of the month. A lot of you drug dealing niggas, you're going to be affected by this too, because you make your longest green on the first of the month. So the first of the month, nobody in the hood is getting a check. You niggas ain't getting paid either. You niggas are going to feel it too. But let me get Revelations 12. And I'm going to go to the 12th verse. Revelations 12 and 12. And hit a couple more scriptures, and then I'm going to end this off. And it's going to be revisited again, because this is a hot topic. This is the budding and the hot topic of the moment right now. So it's going to be revisited again. It's going to be revisited again. Maybe me and 2 or 3 other brothers will get together and hit it again, because it's a hot budding topic. Revelations 12 and 12. It says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time." And that's the time that we're in. The devil, the so-called white man, he's coming down with great wrath, because he knows that he has but a short time before the Lord comes back and decimates his ass, and then the kingdom of heaven is set up. So what he's doing is he's basically making this country and the world hell on earth. When the Lord comes, it's going to be heaven on earth. But he's making it hell on earth, where they putting in law now where you don't have to, you have genderless birth certificates. Or you're born a little boy with cock and balls, you're a boy, not a female. But now, don't put on the birth certificate boy or girl, just leave it open, no gender. What kind of fucking bullshit is this? This is a fucking backwards, freaky, twisted, queer, demented fucking society. And the queers and the twisted and the demented are the ones that are sitting up there in the Senate, in the Congress, and ruling and passing the laws of the land. Okay? This is a land that's straight up set up for queers and misfits and freaks and goddamn homosexuals. It's basically against the law to be a man. They already got a problem with you having bass in your voice, which a man has bass in his voice, and they want you to lower the bass in your voice and talk like you're basically a bitch. They're having it to where men are turning into fucking women. But that's another subject. That'll be covered. I want to stay on topic with this. Verse 13, "And when the dragon saw that he was cast to the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child." The dragon that it's talking about is the Roman. It's talking about the so-called white man at that time in the form of the Roman army, because it says that he was cast to the earth, meaning he was revealed. He persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child, which is talking about our Lord and Savior YAHAWASHI, because at his birth he was persecuted by who? Herod. When Herod seen that particular star and knew that the Messiah was born, what did he do? He put an order out to have the Messiah killed. Then the angel came to Joseph and Mary and told them to flee ye into Egypt until Herod died, and then he came back. So he fled into Egypt, then Herod passed, then he came back. All right, so that's what that's talking about. It's speaking prophetically. It says, verse 14, "And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness." And what happened was, in 70 AD, General Titus and Vespasian besieged Jerusalem, and over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from the Roman persecution. Over 1 million Jews ran into Africa, running from the Romans. So that 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place. We went into the wilderness, and then the place where we came to from there was America. America is the place that we were brought to on cargo slave ships from West Africa to America. That she might fly into the wilderness, into her place. The place is talking about America. where she is nourished for a time and times and a half time from the face of the serpent. All right, 350 years. A time, times, and a half a time. It's Quaker English. It's talking about 350 years. All right, time, and a half of times. Here in America, because while we were here in America, what happened? We were fed and we were taken care of. Even though we were in slavery, we were getting the shit beat out of us. We were being fed and we were taken care of to an extent. And then you have all of these programs, especially back in the 60s and the 70s. You had all these different programs that were set up to take care and feed Jake. In the 60s and the 70s and even the 80s and coming up into the 90s is when everything changed and they started cutting back. The cutback started coming in the mid-90s. But now we're at the point where they're going to cut everything off. Because the scripture said, into her place where she is nourished for a time. We were nourished here in America for a time. We were nourished. We received nourishment. We were able to eat. But now, that time is over with. The serpent, he's cutting all ties. He's cutting all ties. Now it's time for them to bring the chaos now. And that's what this is all about. This is all about them setting up a new world order. This is all about them bringing the chaos. Earlier last year, Trump was proposing a thing of a harvest box where whatever money you was getting in EBT, SNAP, let's say you were getting $500 a month in EBT money. They give you $250 EBT money and then give you a harvest box with non-perishable foods in that box for you to have along with your $250 instead of the $500. That's what they were proposing and wanted to do. It's called the harvest box. But now they basically going way past that now. If this government shutdown continues, because in another 2.5, maybe 3 weeks is going to be February. February come, the money ain't coming. The money's dried up. And let me read on and read it again. Verse 14, Revelations 12 and 14. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time and times and a half time from the face of the serpent. And it basically 1620 to 1970. Basically, the time period, 1620 to 1970. 300, that's 350 years right there, to 1970. But that's basically when the school was established. All right, it was called the school of ISUPK. That's where we stand from. The ones that made the Israelite thing hot all around the country and on YouTube, and nobody can deny it, are the ones that came out of 1 West 125th Street. That's just the bottom line. The ones that got this thing popping all over the country and on YouTube, throughout the satellite and all that throughout the world, are the ones that came out of ISUPK. Or will I say the Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge, it was called back then. Those are the ones that got this thing popping, not you Torah Israelites. And not speaking bad or nothing against the Torah, but you know what? Keeping the law is not what's going to get us into the kingdom. Believing in YAHAWASHI is what's going to ultimately get us there, that he is our savior. And you guys that talk about the Torah, you don't believe in the Messiah. So to hell with you. All right, you don't believe in the Messiah. You don't believe that the Messiah came. Hell, you don't want to deal with the books of the Apocrypha. You don't believe in the book of the Apocrypha because of the story of Tobit. You don't believe in the book of you don't believe in the Apocrypha. You don't believe that the Messiah has come. So hey, so according to you, all of that time period never happened. According to you, I guess. According to you guys, that time never happened. So you Torah guys, you can go jump off a goddamn mountain or something somewhere. But so that was it on that right there. So now let me get back to it. So now, again, that's why in the beginning of the video, you seen the video of the woman, Jasmine. Her name was Jasmine Headley, because that's significant of what is going on right now and what's about to happen on a massive scale across the United States and in every ghetto in the United States. What happened to her when she went to the welfare office in Boerum Hill, Brooklyn, to go and see about why her benefits was cut off? And the way that, in the manner that she was dealt with in that office, you seen how them cops were dragging her on the floor, slamming her, shaking her, and they were prying her child from her arms, and she was screaming, "You're hurting my son, you're hurting my son," doing this to her. She didn't do nothing wrong. Let me tell you something. That's a microcosm of what's going to happen in droves all around the country dealing with this government shutdown. I also want to read, in the book of 2nd Ezra. I'm gonna read maybe 2 more scriptures, and then I'm gonna call it, a night. Let me get 2nd Ezra's. Let me get 2nd Ezra's. Excuse me. Just have to bear with me. Okay, let me get 2nd Ezra's in the Apocrypha. Just takes me a minute to pull it up here. We're going to get 2nd Ezra 16 and 22, and then I'm going to jump down. So I'm just pulling it up right here. 2nd Ezra 16. It says this here, because see, this is the time that we're in right now. It says, behold, 2nd Ezra 16, I'm going to start at 21. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great tribulation. Now, victuals, I was speaking earlier about how the beginning of the month is when they have these sales. Get 10 pineapples for $10, but you got to buy 10. Or get 10 boxes of cake mix for $10, but you got to buy 10. Or get 10 bottles of French's mustard, but you got to buy 10 bottles. Get 10 bottles of Heinz ketchup for $1, or you know, this and that. So the victuals shall be sold good cheap. Everywhere you go, somebody has a dollar menu, whether it's McDonald's, it could be McDonald's, it could be Wendy's, Burger King, whatever. They all got a dollar menu, because a lot of you with that SNAP money, a lot of you women, you don't cook. So you take your kids and you always get them fucking French fries and McNuggets. A lot of these kids think that a meal is some fucking GMO McNuggets and some fucking GMO French fries from McDonald's. That's the most popular item that they probably sell, that them kids get in them Happy Meals, okay? So the victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. But hey, you're not in good case. Verse 22, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. All right. It says, and the dead shall be cast out as dung. Dung is a fancy word for shit. There's going to be so many dead people in the cities that they're going to be laying out in the streets like a piece of shit. Like when dogs walk on the sidewalk and they shit, and the shit sits there on the sidewalk and then it hardens up and turns white. Well, there's going to be so many people out there dead, it's going to be as shit laying in the street. Excuse me. And it says here, and the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall no man be to comfort them, for the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. So now I'm going to jump down to 70th verse, 2nd Ezra 16 and 70, and I think I'm going to end it there. 2nd Ezra 16 and 70. It says, for there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. When you watch that video, you see what those and it was a black cop too. It was a black male cop and a black woman cop, and the other one was probably It was either a Hispanic or a white cop, and there was a couple of other cops too. It might have been 4 or 5 cops. They was on this woman, wrestling her to the ground. They were like madmen because she didn't do anything wrong. She didn't pull a gun out on nobody. She didn't beat nobody up. She didn't spit in anybody's face. She was just simply sitting on the floor holding a baby, waiting to be seen in the welfare office after being there for maybe 4 to 5 hours. All right. And with the place being overcrowded and nowhere to sit, she sat on the floor. And they fucking manhandled her, man. I mean, they did UFC shit to her. All right. Excuse me. First, I'm going to read verse 70 again. 2nd Ezra 16 and 70. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. And that's what's going to happen. It said, for they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. If this government shutdown continues, you're going to be casted out of your houses. Waste and take away their goods, because they do have something on the books. And also another thing, which we're going to talk about in another video, Trump was proposing passing an executive order where he would pass this executive order and declare a national emergency, and then I believe he would go into taking FEMA money to use it to build the wall. But now, if he would have done that, set up and say it's a national emergency, under the executive orders from the presidential branch, they also have something called the Anti-Hoarding Act, where you can't have no more than a month's worth of food in your home. And if you do, government officers can come to your house or look in your house, or you got more than a month's worth of food, they'll take the food and put your ass in prison because you have more than a month's worth of food in your house. It's called the Anti-Hoarding Act, and you can look that up. So if he was to declare a national emergency and implement that executive order so he can try to build the wall, those are the other things that's behind that executive order that can come to fruition as a result of that. So that was pretty much it of what I wanted to say. I was going to try to do 30 minutes, but I went over like about 40 minutes. But this is going to be revisited again because this is a hot topic. I still got more scriptures here that I didn't touch, so I'm just going to have to go into it again. As the updates come in the news, we're going to bring the updates to you. So with that, I'm going to say Shalom and Barakatah Yahawah YAHAWASHI.